Hello, everyone. It's such a pleasure and an honor for me to be here with you today. On my side, I'm Christina Reichmann. I'm a partner of CMS law firm, and we've been supporting this event from the onset. A big supporters in the fintech industry across our footprint. But I'm not here today to speak about myself because on my side, I'm just pretending to be a digital finance expert. We have real experts here. Indeed, what better way to, start the conference and start the morning, having a friendly discussions with representatives of regulators from 4 countries, right? I mean, Katalin was right. I mean, what better chance do we all have than to engage in a friendly discussions with decision makers of central banks without being shy or frightened. So they've been always, very supportive, and I'm really very glad to see you today. I think I will start from that side because better would be for you to introduce yourself and say a bit about, the focus of your work, and then, we will engage in discussions and keeping track and making the most of the time. The best part would be for you to open up to the public and for you to have a chance to address questions.
Thank you so much, Christina. It is good to be back to Oradea after 2 years, so it's not the first time for me, and I can agree with Katalin that it's worth seeing the old town for those of you who are for the first time here. A few words about myself. I'm coming from the Bank of Slovenia, being head of payment and settlement systems, working in the payments area for more than 25 years, a long time, but when I'm having interviews with candidates for positions in my department, I always say it was not 2 days the same in these 25 years. And the pace is accelerating, so this is a really interesting time for payments area. Currently, I could stress maybe 2 topics we are working very intensively on. It is first, instant payments. Instant payments regulation will get fully into force in October this year. Maybe I will have a chance to speak more about instant payments later on. And the digital euro. Digital euro is something that also Mario Draghi has stressed in his paper or report of a few hundred pages. And somehow I feel uncomfortable here speaking about digital euro because it was made clear also by the President Lagarde that we are addressing 2 international card schemes, one being a sponsor of this event. So to stop here, I'm looking for this discussion and hope to get some questions also from the audience.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Ivana Jolic. I work for the Croatian National Bank. This is my first time in Oradea, so I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for welcoming me here. So unlike the other colleagues who are mostly in payment, innovation, and that stuff, I'm actually working on the supervision side. I'm a bank supervisor, and I'm heading our department for on-site and credit risk modeling. I have been working for the Croatian National Bank for over 20 years, so I will share my experience. So in Croatia, it's a rather basic banking system. We have around 20 banks, 84 billion of assets. Like, you have banks who have bigger assets than that. But we are a rather traditional system with a lot of emphasis on credit risk, so this will be the topic I will be able to focus on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ivana.
Hello, my name is Michal Vodrážka. I head a division that's called Payment Regulation in the Czech National Bank. I've been here last year, and I'm very happy to be here again. It's a great event, and from my history, I've just celebrated 15 years at the central bank. For 5 years, I was in charge of the fintech unit that we established before 2020, and now I'm back to payments. So what we focus on is instant payments. now trying to make it reality, not just on the internet, but also in the shops. And maybe one thing I'd like to say at the beginning, so 10 years ago when I started doing payments, it was such a backwater, like a career dead end. And look at us now, right? I mean, there's no hotter area than payments. So, let's enjoy the moment in spotlight we have. And I totally agree that the pace of change is accelerating. So looking forward to this discussion.
Thank you, Michal. Claudiu, over to you.
Bună dimineața tuturor, bine ați venit în România. Welcome to all of you, welcome to Romania. I'm Claudiu Negra, I'm from National Bank of Romania. I have also a lot of experience, over 15 years in payment field. Our focus as the central banker is promote new technologies, new means of payments, but our main focus is to stabilize the rate of fraudulent transaction, because nowadays we're talking the instant payment transaction, which is quite tricky to see the flux of the real money in the economy. So our focus is to all the credit institutions to implement real-time monitoring tools. We are preparing the EU regulation like PSD3. So our focus is to promote the safe and secure payment instruments. Thank you.
So as you can see, I was right. I mean, we have the luxury of having a panel of experts, and we have full menu because we can cover, from next generation payments and instant payment and digital euro to risk management. I've always thought that, central banks, I'm not just trying to say good words, because you are from central banks, but regulations and, the job and the role of central banks is really critical to making a balance, striking a balance between, pushing innovation, but also keeping stability in the system. It's a tough job. I would imagine there are a lot of competing priorities also for you. But my first questions to all of you, because I was here last year and also moderating a panel with the representatives of central banks. And of course, it was very, very regulatory intensive, because last year we had a package of key regulations that were awaiting implementation. I'm talking mainly about DORA, but not only, of course. And now, a year later, how do you see, the impact of this package of regulations coming into force? I mean, last year I was discussing with, the players about, the way they were trying to map implementation and, even, discussing whether they are in scope or not. I want to hear from you for your respective jurisdictions. How do you see it? I mean, is the honeymoon over and they should be afraid, or how is it going on? Claudiu, I will start with you.
Okay. DORA is not something new that I said last year. I saw from my experience when I'm talking to the big credit institution, for them it's quite something that is very useful. They said they help this regulation to have a better management of operational risk. They do a lot of things, but they don't put all the things in the same package. So the new legal requirements help them to promote better the safe and secure environment and to invest a lot in new technologies, because they have to have real-time monitoring tools, not only for the payments, also for the credit activities, for protecting the client's data. So they have to invest a lot, and this new regulation gave them the leverage when they go to the board to ask for more money to invest in this kind of security measures.
Yeah, that's true. It's not new for credit institutions, but there are new institutions in scope. That's one thing. And also I'm aware of the fact that there are increased responsibilities also when picking a provider, and the liability of the institutions in scope is really, really now at a larger scale. So, Michal, but not only about DORA, I mean generally about, because again, last year was very regulatory intensive.
Okay, so about DORA, I just agree
Yeah.
with everything that was said. I think the combination of DORA and MiCA together is making it quite difficult for the crypto service providers to actually get those licenses.
Yeah.
In case of Czechia, the first numbers we heard from the market is couple hundred applicants, and now we're down to a couple dozen. So already the legal
tough.
industry kind of sorted it out that not many can actually deal with this. My personal opinion is DORA makes a lot of sense. MiCA, I just see it as a big waste of resources, also for the regulators.
That's an interesting angle. I'm sure you will get questions from the audience, and I have some, yeah.
I can assure you, I've seen so many discussions on the topics now. Some of you saw this EBA no action letter about PSD2, not being applicable in some cases. So I really hope when the legislators come with next complex package of regulation, they will do a better job so we don't have to do these quick fixes that just take everybody's time, and let's see how much they're gonna fix. And maybe for me, what was the most important thing last year was changing settlement finality directive. We've been pushing for a decade we believe in competition, so we wanted to open up our payment system to non-banks. So it was great that finally Commission, Parliament, the co-legislators agreed to do this. I think the Article 35A, all these extra conditions, maybe too much red tape. I mean, we expect payment institutions to follow all this in regular operations, so we shouldn't have much more. So in case of Czechia, we went really light. We managed to transpose on time. Our payment system is welcoming new applicants, so we already have a couple. And what I'm a little worrying about how it's gonna work cross-border, because it's the cross-border payments that we would like to see some improvements in. So let's see how this works. And maybe last but not least, when we were transposing SFD, there was a parliamentary initiative that was basically backed or initiated by the crypto industry in Czechia, and they managed to include the right for CASPs to bank accounts. So we were not very excited about this, but mostly because of correspondent banking possible impacts. But with the change in US administration and the pro-crypto attitude, we don't worry about banks losing USD correspondence so much. So let's see how this will work in practice too.
Okay, that's also a very interesting angle, and I will come back to this, Mikhail. Thank you very much. Ivana, I know that you're focusing a lot on supervision and risk management, but how is everything seen from your perspective?
Okay, when it comes to regulation, we have different pieces of regulations
Absolutely,
which
yes.
actually worry us most. So when it comes to banking and credit risk management, we have had the CRR3, CRD6 package. So that's something that is being enforced starting this year. In terms of credit risk modeling, we have seen now a diminishing importance of models with the CRR, because for some portfolios, advanced modeling approaches are no longer allowed, such as banks and large corporates. Also, you know that in the CRR you have the output floor, so whatever you calculate using your own models, you have to have a certain percentage of the standardized approach. So in that sense, the CRR says, let's not be so enthusiastic with the models, let's try to do it in a more standardized way. And another game changer, I would say, is actually the AI Act. We all know it was published last year in August, but we have also had some important guidelines being published this year, such as guidelines on the AI systems definition, guidelines on the prohibited practices. Now, when AI Act was first published, the definition of what AI was quite broad. So it seemed like every credit risk model a bank would have would actually be within the definition of the AI. And now this year, when we saw the guidelines, they are a bit more in line with what the industry and the supervisors have said. So we want the AI to be true AI, not regression models, which have been traditionally used in banks for decades. Also, you would expect no frills with the guide on prohibited practices where they prohibit social scoring, because when you think of social scoring, you think of scoring like they do in China, and then they say this is a bad citizen, this is a good citizen. But actually, you know that banks, especially for natural persons, also do behavioral scoring, and this could be a type of social scoring. So we were examining this, and actually, luckily, there is this guideline, EBA guideline on loan origination, where it says what kind of data you have to use when you evaluate the creditworthiness of a customer. So if you're actually using that type of data, then it's not prohibited social scoring. If you would be using data from an unrelated social context, then it would be. Another issue with the AI Act is that it's cross-sectoral, it's horizontal, but it's not holistic. So the AI Act itself says this is not enough. You need to take into account sectoral legislation. So what are we as regulators doing now? You know, Croatia is now part of the EU, part of the SSM. So we are participating in various working groups within the ECB, within the EBA. From the ECB side, you can expect an update on the ECB guide on internal models. The last version was published in February last year, so we will add some things about machine learning in that, so you can expect that. When it comes to the EBA is actually now doing a mapping exercise. They're trying to look at different regulation, and you guys know you have a lot of regulation out there. So you have DORA, you have CRR, CRD, you have Consumer Credit Directive, Mortgage Credit Directive. You have different EBA guidelines, such as guidelines on internal governance, on loan origination. So what we will do, we will try to map the different requirements you have in all of this different regulation. We will see if there's anything you need to add, clarify, and hopefully by the end of the year, we will have something new for you guys to have.
Ivana, I think it's really, you're reading my mind, because when AI came into force, of course, we were trying to, us as lawyers, you know, we were saying, okay, it's more general, so probably we should look at sector-specific regulations, but basically, indeed, AI has a lot to, has a big impact on sectorial, sectors in the payments and credit institutions market. And indeed, you know, sometimes it's really difficult even for experts without the help of the regulator, first of all, to understand what's in scope. Because as you said, I mean, not to mention that, you know, I think for banks and credit institutions and mostly, but also for other institutions in the scope, to apply capital to the risk, it's something really critical, as we all know. And indeed, cooperation with the regulator is critical, because I think even with a team of experts from various backgrounds, sometimes it's difficult to kind of say, look, this is in scope, this is not in scope, to say, you know, getting at the basic level. Yeah, thank you. Simon, what about Slovenia?
Thank you. Slovenia is a part of EU, so I can speak for the whole of the EU, I hope so. And I can say that we are over-regulated. This is a clear issue for the EU. We have too many regulations, and as it has already been mentioned...
If the regulators say that, I mean, we contradict them.
And this is also becoming a large fixed cost. Compliance for the credit institutions and the fintechs, it is a large fixed cost to be compliant. We see this. And also, again, mentioning Mario Draghi, he has mentioned this issue in his report. And what is another issue for the whole EU? The lengthy process of adopting new regulation. We can just take a look at PSR, PSD3. How long is it taking? It will be now 2 years since the Commission has published first proposals, and now there are still negotiations with no end in our side. We are having some quick fixes, as Michal has said, and this is not the way how the regulation should be done. So, large fixed cost for compliance. Sometimes I feel sorry for the all the supervised entities that have to comply with all the regulation. Somehow I feel sorry for them. Somehow I just admire them, how they can make it. But on the other side, it is us, the supervisors. You can imagine it is not an easy task for us to get people on our side to supervise you. It is completely different environment. The board member of the National Bank of Romania has said that we are a kind of conservative, and how to attract somebody who is working for the fintech to the central bank to now work on supervision. It is not only a completely different mindset of the institutions, but also, we have to be honest, the paycheck. So a lot of challenges on our side, on the side of the industry, and I think that something has to be done, not only based on the Draghi report, but I believe that also President of the Commission, von der Leyen, has mentioned this, that we have too many regulations in the EU and something will have to be simplified.
Thank you, Simon. Indeed, so it deserves a you know, as I said, we are also sympathetic for and grateful for your work, because without cooperation with the regulators, you cannot navigate. But it's clear that, I mean, to me as a lawyer, I think one of the most difficult parts are on the side of liability, because, you know, with the new package of regulations, the liability of the institutions per se, but also of the board of directors is up to the sky, literally. I mean, from the due diligence and you know, choosing a partner to, you know, applying capital and modeling and risk management. But it's also very hard when it comes to overlapping regulations. And I think, well, not to mention extraterritoriality and other stuff. Now, coming to, let's say, because I said that, you know, we will also discuss about, you know, next generation payments, instant payment. I know that you are involved in instant payment, and I'm looking at you, Claudiu. What's the situation at the National Bank of Romania?
At the National Bank of Romania, we are trying to stay in touch with the market and the market needs. Especially we develop instant payment solution since 2019. 80% of our credit institutions are may transfer credit instantly right now, and the Romanian Banking Association issue a new standard for payments via QR code, via deep link, and they try to put this kind of payments for all the business cases that are in place. But our focus is to have a very clear line in this direction and put the security of the payments in front of the user experience of the clients. Because when the first launched the card products, there were a lot of fraudulent transactions. Nowadays, we saw a lot of decreasing because the big partner, Visa, invested a lot in the cybersecurity and real-time monitoring tools. So this kind of approach should be done also in the payments field, because for the credit transfer, the rules are not so clear, the system are not so high-end like in the card payments. So our focus is to adapt to the new environment, to the new kind of risk, and all of us, especially of the central banks, we see how the fraudsters move their methods. They said 2 or 3 weeks stay in the one method, and after that they change it totally. So for the credit institution, it's quite difficult. In Romania, we have a lot of campaigns for try to understand the risk and try to educate our consumers to be more vigilant when the bank or a police officer said, okay, you have to give me your credential, your banking credential to protect your accounts. Is not something that is useful. And a lot of investment activities are going right now because in Romania market, the capital market are growing. A lot of publicity were done in that area, and the fraudsters take these ideas and try to sell to the vulnerable consumers to gain more money. Unfortunately, these are the reality. There were a lot of campaign, not only from the central bank, for the banking association. Every credit institution have their communication in mobile apps, in their video campaigns, in their emails, but unfortunately, there are a lot of frauds. In Romania, thanks to all the credit institutions, the fraudulent rate is quite low, but we intended to keep it lower.
Yeah.
So that is our perspective.
Simon, I know that you've been also heavily involved in instant payments, right? So what's the situation in Slovenia?
I try to be short. We have a very well-functioning end-user scheme for instant payments on the POI. POI meaning point of interaction, including POSs plus e-commerce. But it's only working in Slovenia. It's not something that could act as a tool for strategic autonomy of the Europe. So we have a lot of these national schemes which are not interoperable. We have the EPC SEPA scheme for instant payments, but not for the end users. And if I travel, let's say, to Spain, Portugal, I have to pay with my Visa or MasterCard still. So the Eurosystem has published some expectations for a pan-European POI instant payment scheme. Currently, we have 2 initiatives, but these initiatives do not develop according to our expectations. So this is also one of the reasons that we are somehow pushing with our Digital Euro project to provide something with European roots and to provide a possibility to pay with public money in a digital age.
I'm very happy that you actually linked this two, because obviously they are linked. I was about to say a few words about this barrier, because actually it's about extraterritoriality and the way it can be fixed, and probably the only way would be this project. Of course, we are waiting for also for this, let's say, pilot or fixes on the European level, but I think that's a long way to go. I mean, it's not for tomorrow, for sure.
If I may to spend just a half a minute, of course, we are the ECB, we are part of the ECB, the Eurosystem, and we will be actually giving to the banks and to the general public this digital cash. But for this, we have to have legal basis. And here we are again. 2 years ago, the Commission has published a proposal for the Digital Euro regulation, and it is impossible for the Parliament to agree on the final text. The new reporter wants to start from the beginning, and Mr. Cipollone, the executive board member of the ECB, was clear in one of his interviews that we will need 2 years or 2 years and a half once the regulation is adopted to actually start in a live environment with digital euro. So this meaning 28, 29 probably.
Yeah, we have to invite them to Oradea to be efficient, I'm sure about that. Michael, so what about the Czech Republic?
Well, we're not part of the Eurozone, so
Yeah.
we're charting our own course
know.
here. Instant payments work pretty well. We just had the last major bank join in this April, so voluntarily we get 99% coverage for consumers. We don't have a scheme at the moment, but we feel that all the pieces for a successful, real shop instant payments are there, and we've seen by now 3 initiatives that will try to pull this off. So we hope all of them succeed, or at least one. And as was mentioned, like in Romania, we're also, but that's a separate topic, looking at fraud. The question is, what is the solution, or which way should go? Something that wasn't mentioned here yet, and I've been pushing for that very hard in the PSD3 PSR negotiations, is the liability of big internet platforms, social media, advertisement, You know, sometimes when you see the adverts and you try to report them and you're just being told, oh, this is fine with our whatever standards they are, this is basically like, you know, participating in criminal behavior. That they're taking money from the criminals to.
I fully agree. Yeah. So we are over-regulated but we are turning not a blind eye, but that's the effect actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a big blind spot that needs fixing, and I'm looking forward to how the new package is. Will try to fix this.
Ivana, I'm aware of time, but just a few words because this is really important.
Christina, we can't.
No?
We've gone far too long. I'm really sorry, Christina. We have to. You are the superstars. You are the new influencers. We know this. 10 years ago, we used to hire people to come on stage. Now, central bankers are the new superstars. Thank you all.
So make the most of their
Thank you all.
presence during the networking sessions.
Now,